Some time ago, I was contacted by this couple, Miles and Tamar, and they had Tamra. I'll get used to your name, Tamra. So, anyways, like I said, Tamar, right? It's Tamra. So, anyways, they had contacted me, and they had got one of my books on how faith comes, 28 Ways, and he began to read it. And actually, Tamra has written a book about divine healing, and then they got and she ended up with 3 brain aneurysms. And a brain aneurysm is very, very dangerous. You could die. A lot of people never recover. I was talking to, my wife and I visited Gary and Wanda, and her mom had a brain aneurysm, and it affected her speech, and she could never talk from then on until she went home to be with the Lord. But so she got 3 brain aneurysms. Mal found her and took her to the hospital, which makes sense. And they got my book because they're having me to pray and believe God with them. And they had been to conferences and like Curry Blake's and other people's. And so when she was in the hospital, they had her on life support. And he got my book, I Don't Need Your Prognosis. And so they basically agreed we're going to rise up in faith. And they can tell you the whole story. I want them to tell their story at another time. But anyways, so they decided to take her out of the hospital, basically an invalid. And then he drove for 5 days to get here. And 3 Sundays ago, she was completely... 2 Sundays ago. Well, it's only 2 Sundays ago. She was completely bedridden. I mean, we had to carry her out and lift her up. And Tamar, stand up and come over here, won't you? Come on, Miles. Come on. So we just sang that song. He still does miracles. He still heals. So Miles, you come and hold the microphone if you want to say something.
Okay, so I think it would help to share that when...
You said our story another time.
Oh, no, we'll tell the whole story another time, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you can tell a little bit if you want.
Okay, well...
Turn it up a little
Okay, but so briefly, yes, when it all happened, I felt hopeless. And it was actually a lack of faith that led me to call the number, and then they came, and that was the whirlwind that started. Took her to the hospital. The doctor immediately, as I arrived afterwards, told me the prognosis, which wasn't good. And he said, you better go in. I said, no, I speak over that. I said, it had already been prayed over that Yahweh said, Isaiah 53, 4 through 5. She's healed. So I speak over what you say. And we had to keep doing that because doctors have a way. Anyway, so then, yes, there was life support, just keep breathe. There was the life support. They started pumping drugs into it. They had 4 IVs going at once, one of which I've just learned from your book is really dangerous. And when we got, I emailed, I'll say this bit, I emailed Mike and said, please, can you pray using your prayer request? He came back with a simple sentence. It said, praying, believing, healing. Do not let the spirit of fear control you. It already had. It already had. That's why we were there. So, and it wasn't Tamara's decision, it was mine. Anyway, so we then gave him a praise report of what was going on, and I said, look, we need more counsel, we need more help. And he sent me an email response with a link to the book, I Do Not Need Your Prognosis. I was offended for about half an hour. I wanted an answer. He'd given one if I just clicked the link. We then we got the book out. We hadn't even got through the first chapter. And we said, I said, Tamara, we having got into the realm of unbelief, we have to step back into the realm of faith. So we said to them, whatever they were pumping in, it was having an effect on her. I said, no, you stop that. This is for anti-seizure. I don't care. She's not had a seizure since she got here because we said her brain is fixed. It's done. So they stopped giving her that. And we started getting her off the life support. And then the day after we got the book, and we just decided, we announced it to them, to their great resistance, and they unplugged the IVs. They made us sign forms, disclaimers, and we just said, we're going. And then we just got a courtesy wheelchair, brought it to she hadn't even got off the bed at that point, and we just lifted her onto the chair, got her to the car, and just got her back, and with help into our RV where we live. And really, it's just, and it was then that we started looking, what are we going to do? Obviously, we need help with our faith. We kept reading the book, and we said, look.
So we actually found a healing service of Curry Blake and David Hogan 15 hours away, and we were going to go to it. And the day before we went to it, my heart just said, no, we got to go to this God's general, Pastor Mike Yeager and his church, because my sin opened this door. My sin. I sinned. I gave up. I got tired of fighting, and then I had a stroke. But the 2 hours before we left, we both said, yeah, let's go north at the end of October in an RV. And I was scared and thought of the weather, and he said, let's just go in faith. And I said, Father will make it sunny. He'll make it dry and warm for us to get there. Father can do anything. And he did. And I knew I needed help. We're a healing ministry. And I'd given up. And I knew I needed help and a family. And I knew. And so 2 hours before we were going to go to North Carolina, we said, no, let's go north. Let's go to Pennsylvania. Both of us, the Spirit said, yeah. So we
drove almost straight just to get here so that we could be here for the Sunday morning.
And that Sunday, Father had a picnic so that all of you would be here to help me. Father did that. Yeah. Father set that up. Yeah. So bless you and all.
Here now you see a walking miracle.
Praise Yahweh. Let me say, I can button my buttons. That's the first thing that went.
Yeah, because the aneurysms are on the right side, the whole of the left side wouldn't work at all. So to even have dexterity enough to do up buttons, this morning I think you discovered that. So everything's every day. And you know, the other thing we learned is that every single step, the progression in the healing, the greater the faith became, the greater the next step in the advancement in the healing.
11 days.
So
11 days from your prayer.
Yeah.
And from all your prayer, 11 days I was walking.
Thank you, bless you.
Come on, give the Lord a good hand clap and a shout. See, this is why it's vitally important. And when I respond to people when they email me, I always respond, or they text me, and I always respond, and I pray. And sometimes what I say is very short and very blunt. And when he contacted me, I just sensed, well, they're people of faith, but they've stepped out. They got to get back in. Peter was on faith when he walked on the water. He got out. And thank God for the Lord's mercy. But now is not the time to hear an easygoing, tickle your ear, everything's hunky-dory message. The kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. And it's not a natural violence, it's a supernatural violence. And so I'll tell you this, since they've been here, I've watched them, and they've been stepping it out. They've been working it out. They've been taking a hold. They just didn't get prayed for and say, okay, now God, if it don't manifest, I guess it's not your will. No, they've been taking a hold, and it's good to be around people of faith. And we have people of faith here. And we know he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. So let's give the Lord a little bit more worship here. Thank you.